Hyperledger Fabric shines when organizations need shared truth without giving up control. In this module, we'll explore where that value shows up in supply chains, finance, healthcare, and government, and just as importantly, where Fabric is the wrong fit. At this point, you have the core Fabric toolkit: architecture, chain code, deployment, security, governance, and operations. Module 5 shifts the focus. Instead of asking how Fabric works, we'll evaluate where it creates real enterprise value. Use Fabric when the business problem crosses organizational boundaries. The strongest signal is a shared record that several parties must trust, verify, and update, without handing control to one central operator. Fabric also fits when identity, privacy, audit history, and approval rules are part of the value. If the workflow is purely internal, the records are low value, or governance is simple, a conventional database or integration layer is usually the better choice. The value comes from turning enterprise trust requirements into enforceable network rules. Membership service providers define who belongs and which organization they represent. Endorsement policies determine which parties must approve a transaction before it becomes shared truth. Channels and private data collections keep sensitive details limited to the right participants. Chaincode applies the same business logic for everyone, so companies can coordinate confidently without surrendering control. In supply chains, traceability becomes valuable when every handoff creates evidence. A raw material's origin, certification, inspection, shipment, and delivery confirmation can be recorded by the organization responsible for that event. Because all parties share the same ledger, disputes are no longer based on private spreadsheets or emails. A retailer, regulator, or consumer can verify where a product came from, who handled it, and whether required compliance steps were completed. That shared evidence matters most when something goes wrong. Quality data, batch IDs, temperature readings, and compliance documents can be recorded once and trusted by the network, instead of reconciled during a crisis. If a contaminated batch is detected, teams can quickly trace affected lots, locations, shipments, and custody history. Logistics events, sensor readings, and ERP updates can trigger alerts and coordinated actions, turning recall response from manual investigation into controlled execution. Trade finance is another strong fit because it is a document-driven workflow. A buyer issues a purchase order, banks approve a letter of credit, logistics confirms shipment, and the seller submits invoices and supporting certificates. With Fabric, each party sees the same permissioned version of that workflow instead of reconciling separate records. Endorsement policies can require the right bank, buyer, or insurer approvals before payment moves. The result is fewer disputes, faster release of funds, and a clear audit trail. Across financial services, the recurring pain point is reconciliation. Each institution keeps its own records, and teams compare them later, which creates delays, disputes, and risk. Fabric allows approved parties to share transaction state, confirm settlement steps, and preserve a tamper-evident history for audits. The key is balancing shared visibility with strict privacy controls for sensitive data. In healthcare, the goal is not to put medical records on a blockchain. A better pattern is to keep protected health information in existing clinical systems and place only evidence on Fabric: consent status, consent changes, hashes, timestamps, and audit events. That gives patients clearer control while trial sponsors, sites, CROs, regulators, and auditors can verify what happened. For clinical trials, this creates tamper-evident proof of protocol steps and data submissions without exposing sensitive data. For pharma, trust depends on proving exactly where a drug came from, where it has been, and whether it is still safe to use. A Fabric network can record batch IDs, serial numbers, shipment events, temperature exceptions, and recall status as shared facts. Manufacturers, distributors, pharmacies, hospitals, and regulators each see only the records they are permitted to see. The same pattern also supports provider credentials, claims, milestones, equipment tracking, and referrals, while minimizing sensitive patient data. In the public sector, Fabric can turn important records into trusted registries shared across agencies. A permit, land title, license, or certification can carry a tamper-evident history of who issued it and who updated it. Endorsement policies make sure the right authority approves changes, while citizens or businesses can prove status without revealing more information than necessary. For cross-agency services, the goal is not to replace every agency system. It is to create a trusted coordination layer. Fabric can track shared workflow state, such as submitted, verified, approved, declined, or audited, while each agency keeps authority over its own records. Citizens and businesses submit information once. Agencies exchange evidence consistently, and regulators can review the history. Governance controls participation, permissions, endorsements, and audit access. Fabric is not a universal upgrade. If one organization owns the process, a normal database is simpler and cheaper. If the goal is token hype, Fabric's permission model is probably wrong. And if partners will not share rules, data, or accountability, the network will stall. Good architecture includes saying no when the trust value is too low. Strong use cases are not chosen because they sound innovative. They are ranked against clear criteria. Look for problems where multiple parties need shared trust, auditability creates real value, and business impact is measurable. Then test the other side: integration effort, privacy demands, regulatory exposure, and governance maturity. The best opportunities are rarely the flashiest. They are the ones where value is high, complexity is manageable, and the organization is ready to operate the network responsibly. Fabric delivers value when multiple organizations need a trusted, auditable, governed way to coordinate shared workflows. Strong use cases start with business friction, not blockchain enthusiasm. Anti-patterns help you avoid unnecessary complexity. Next, we apply these criteria to a regulated supply chain, then build toward production-ready architecture.